Well, the results are in. And in our first 4 months of operation, CardsHQ has done more than $4 million worth of sales. And we've done it while making a profit. I'm pretty thrilled with how the first 4 months have gone at CardsHQ, but we're not exactly printing money. There's a lot we can still do to continue to improve our operations and to make our net profit better and better. It's not where I want it to be. Even our sales are not where I want them to be yet. I'm happy that we're doing over $1 million a month worth of sales right now, but I want that number to get to $2 million or more per month as we go. And I want to see our profit increase as we do it. We've been making a lot of operational improvements in our first 4 months of CardsHQ. We've been really learning on the job and figuring out ways to maximize our efficiency and our profitability. But there's a lot more we need to do based upon what we've learned. And that's what we're going to dig into today. What have the first 4 months been like? And more importantly, where are we going from here? We're doing a deep dive within the operations of CardsHQ. Ryan, congratulations, man. It's been a fantastic first 4+ months so far here.
4 months, man. It feels like we've been here for 2 years.
It does. It has aged us.
Yes.
You know, I got a little, I don't know if you've noticed, but the gray in my beard has been increasing a little bit. It hasn't gotten up to my hair yet. I'm being protective of that. But, you know, we got a little bit of gray going on in the beard. You're younger than me. Hasn't started to hit you yet. But I don't know, Ryan. Another year in this store, and you might start feeling a little bit of that as well.
I might have some gray hair next year for sure. This has been quite a journey. This 4 months have been absolutely insane.
It has been an absolutely insane 4 months, and it has absolutely been a learning journey. As with any new venture, no matter how much you think you know, no matter how much you try to business plan, no matter how much you try to predict, until you're actually in it, until the store actually opens, until you're actually operating it day to day, you don't really know. And you find out, and you find out quickly. You know, it's like I think it was Mike Tyson who said, like, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's how business is. That's how startup life is. I knew that was going to be the case with our store because I've seen that be the case with 15 other businesses that I've started over the last 20 years. And that's part of the process. And your ability to be agile, your ability to adapt, ultimately defines your success. In fact, at my agency, which I recently sold, 352, which I ran for many years, we would do a lot of business consulting with clients, sometimes small to big companies. And what I would often tell them is the mark of success for any type of new venture or startup project is not the planning that goes into it. It's not what leads up to the launch. It oftentimes is what happens in that first 3 to 6 months immediately following the launch. It's your ability to adapt based upon what's happening, your ability to be agile that ultimately determines your success. Ultimately, that ability to pivot and adapt and meet the market need and the customer need and be responsive to that is more critical than the planning that went in at the beginning. That's what I found. And I think with our store, there's been so much adapting that we've been doing during our first 4 months based on what we've learned. And that's what I want to dig into today.
Yeah, I mean, we're absolutely different from where we were day one.
Yeah.
I learned similar things at Missouri State University in my degree in entrepreneurship is you got to change and make it right. We've developed the systems. We've got them in place. I think we're pretty good. We're not fully there yet. We're still learning every day. But even like showcases, we're changing the way the showcases are being. We're doing something new every day. We're getting new employees and new roles. Carter and I thought we can handle it all.
Yeah. And you guys were very ambitious. We quickly learned. That's one of the things we had to do a lot of catch up at the beginning because we learned, and we've talked about this on previous videos. By the way, shout out to Carter. He's not with us today, but obviously he'll be back, next time we do a video, but Carter's been working absolutely non-stop all the time, around the clock here at the store. Absolutely awesome. So much so that he's actually a little bit under the weather today because he's worked himself like wild, but we'll have him back soon. But yeah, I mean, in the early stages of this, we, for example, didn't have an inventory manager. Yeah, that was one of the most immediate gaps that we saw was inventory. We also saw an immediate gap around buying and just the amount that we had to buy, the amount of inventory that had to happen and how that created a challenge. And it quickly became apparent that you and Carter, you had so much on your plates in so many different areas that we had to hire really good people underneath you to watch over and really take ownership of different parts of the business in order to make this viable and to build the efficiencies in that we've needed to build, having now done over $4 million in sales in 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that we could handle the buying ourselves and do that day to day. We're up to 6 full-time buyers now, and we still don't have enough. I feel like we could still use some more, and we're still looking for buyers. But I mean, we come back from a show, and like for instance, we just came back from Phoenix with 800 slabs. We've already sold 400 of them.
Yeah.
And we did a great video with the website, and I mean, the website sales have been crazy. These guys from the shipping team, they're coming in with 20, 40 orders to fulfill in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, the website's been bonkers this week. So I want to dive into buying a little bit more. I want to dive into various areas of the company. First of all, let's just kind of touch overall financial sales mix. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video, our first 4 months of operation. So we're looking through the day we opened. We officially opened February 1st. We had one day where we were a preview night where we opened before February 1st. But from when we officially opened through the end of May, because we just reconciled all of our books through the end of May. So you have February, March, April, and May. We did over $4 million worth of revenue. The vast majority of that was from retail, from people coming in the store and buying things. So the retail has been very hot. We have been increasing our live selling and breaking on Whatnot. We've seen that go up and up and up every month. It's becoming a larger part of our business, a much larger part of our business, but that really only has happened in the last couple of months. We started kind of slow. So through a lot of that period, February, we had relatively small, very little, Whatnot. March, we had a little bit more. April, it started to step up a little bit more. Then finally, May was the first month where we started to do some serious revenue on Whatnot. We're expecting June, July, August, September. We're expecting continued growth. I mean, we want to get to the point where our online sales through website, through Whatnot, and other forms of live selling and, breaking, that kind of thing that we do in the future, exceed our retail sales, significantly exceed our retail sales. Right now, our retail sales are making up the vast majority of our sales mix, but we expect that to shift. We, of course, want to keep retail sales at a very high level, but we want Whatnot to grow in and of itself to be $1 million plus business per month. You mentioned our website. The website we only brought online, I believe it was in April. And in May, we did a little bit more with sales, but the website hasn't really come into its own here until the last, really this week was our biggest week of website sales because we finally started pushing the website. We had a lot of tweaking to do on it. We didn't push it very much at all. And then this week we started to, this past Sunday on the Sports Card Investor video, or I guess by the time people are watching this, it would have been the Sunday before last, where we really announced CardsHQ.com. A lot of our slabs are on there for sale, great prices, promotions, all this kind of stuff. And the audience responded. And we had hundreds of sales over the course of a couple of days after that YouTube video came out. So the website now, and we expect the website, it's only been a tiny part of our overall sales mix, very small, small single digit percentage, but I'd like the website to get to 10%, 20%, 30% of our overall sales number over time. And I want that to happen by our overall revenue pie growing, right? So instead of doing 4 million these next 4 months, I'd like to see us do 6 million, then eventually 8 million in a 4-month period. And then you see the website being a bigger part of that. You see Whatnot being a bigger part of that. And you see retail sales kind of remaining strong.
Yeah, think about 9 months ago when we were creating that business plan. We thought live selling and all of our online, we planned to be the world's local card shop.
Right.
And we're not that yet.
We're nowhere close to that yet.
I want to be that.
I want to be that as well.
So we're going to change that. We're going to grow our channels. Our channels are growing fast. We got over 10,000 subscribers on the CardsHQ break channel and over 20,000 on the shop channel.
On Whatnot, yeah.
Yeah, on Whatnot. So it's growing fast. But really we need to see more growth there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so going back and looking at our original business plan, we again, we're only 4 months in. Where we underestimated was retail sales. Our retail sales, people coming in the shop and buying cards and boxes, has been much stronger than we anticipated it to be, more than double what our business plan called for.
We passed the business plan in 2 months of what we thought it would be. For a whole year. Yeah.
A year. So we had our 12-month projection for retail sales in 2 months. We hit our 12-month projection for retail sales.
Which is absolutely insane.
That's how crazy the store has been with traffic and people coming in and buying stuff.
It'll be interesting to see if that keeps up, though. You know, this is a new car feel.
Yeah,
and people are coming here for the first time.
100%.
But everyone's enjoying it. Everyone loves coming here. We're getting the regulars now, which is something that's really cool to see.
Yeah. And that's why building community into this whole thing is so important, and having it be an experience is so important. I think the community aspect. So there's a lot we can do, though, to further ramp retail that we haven't even touched yet. For example, we're currently interviewing for a full-time events coordinator. The purpose of the events coordinator is to be able to do more trade nights and to be able to do a whole series of TCG tournaments, games, all that kind of stuff. We want activity and events in this store almost every night of the week. We want something to be happening event-wise. We have almost none of that right now. All we have right now is one trade night a month. That's all we have. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff. And so that's a whole area of potential growth for us where, you know, we haven't even explored that. And I know from talking to other card shop owners that, and we've seen it with our own sales, that whenever we do an event in the store, you see a big pop in sales that day, because when people are in here, if they're coming in for a trade night or they're coming in for a TCG tournament, they're naturally going to pick up a couple of cards or pick up some supplies or maybe a box or two, right? So events are complete untapped potential for us to be able to grow retail.
Yeah, I mean, I was just at Collecticon with Mike, and we stopped by Leighton Gaming, and they're running 2-3 tournaments a day.
Yes.
That inspired me.
They're down in Orlando. They got a great culture.
Yeah.
Great culture. Rich Layden's done a fantastic job with that store. I visited them as well. Their management team's awesome.
They're actually growing too.
Yeah.
They want to get a bigger space to have more tournaments.
So that's the inspiration, right? And we've done none of that, zero.
Yeah.
And so that's the inspiration of what we could do. Just on the TCG side, we could continue to do more on the sports card side. I want to do kids' birthday parties in here.
Yeah.
We haven't done those yet.
Yeah.
I think there's potential there. So I think there's potential to really drive a lot of additional revenue for in-store sales through events. So even if you mentioned, you know, well, maybe retail sales have been really strong the first 4 months because, you know, it's the new car thing. People are checking it out, you know, wanting to come for the first time. And some of that's true. But even if retail sales start to dip a little bit with it no longer having the new factor, that, in my opinion, is going to get offset by the whole event side of things coming into play and helping drive retail sales. So I think retail sales are just, I hope, and knock on wood, hopefully that's wood that I'm knocking on, but I think that retail sales are going to permanently surpass our expectations of what our original business plan called for.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope so. Now, on the other hand, live selling and breaking has ramped up slower than what we projected. We projected that as of this time, we were going to be doing as much, if not more, live selling and breaking than retail. That's not the case yet. Retail is a much larger mix of our overall revenue. But live selling and breaking has been increasing steadily month over month. We expect it to still overcome retail and be a bigger part of our mix, but it has been harder to grow there than we anticipated. Some of that is staffing. It's just hiring the right people and being able to be online for more hours than be able to be live for more hours so you can sell more. Although we're finally catching up on that now.
We're pivoting.
Yeah.
We're going to have the guys do solo shows now.
Correct.
Do it alone so we can still be live for more hours a day.
For live selling specifically. Yeah. So that way we're finding ways to make it more efficient. So we have to have less people involved in each show so that we can then spread our talent out across more hours.
Yeah.
With live selling. So that's a big part of what we're looking at. Another challenge we had on that front was inventory. We were inhibited from going live as many hours as we wanted to at first because we were having trouble keeping up with buying to even have the inventory to be able to sell at that high of a degree. And that was true for buying, for live selling. That was also true for breaking. We didn't have enough boxes. We didn't have the breaking relationship with Tops. We didn't have enough product that we were able to just acquire in general. That has changed. That has improved. We've been able to get breaking relationships, breaking distributor relationships. The amount of product that we're able to acquire has now been increasing, which is now enabling us to increase our breaking business. But this is all recent. This has all started to happen recently. So our live selling and breaking numbers, if we do this video 4 months from now, which I'm sure we will again, hopefully I think 4 months from now, live selling and breaking will probably surpass retail sales in terms of our total revenue mix.
I absolutely hope so.
I would hope by that point.
I would think so.
I would think within the next 2 to 3 months, we'll hit that point where live selling and breaking is kind of balancing out with retail sales in terms of revenue. But we expected to be there before then. It's just, it's been a learning experience that part has taken longer to ramp up. We mentioned the website. That's another part of the sales mix, obviously. That's just in its infancy. But we see a ton of possibilities with the website. And we're hiring right now for digital marketing and for social in order to better promote the website and all that kind of thing. So things are going really well. There's a lot of potential for where things can go. We are profitable, which is really great news. A lot of new businesses, when they start operating, they're losing money. Obviously, their first number of months, they're losing money while they're kind of working their way towards profitability, even with a significant amount of startup expense. Now, we're not talking about capitalized expense. So leasehold improvement, like the build out of the store, that obviously is not factoring in to our monthly expenses, because that's CapEx. That's stuff that you depreciate over the course of many, many years. But there's also a lot of things we've been buying for the store that are factoring into our monthly expenses. There's just a lot of first-time supplies that we had to buy, a lot of first-time signs that aren't big, and various like fixtures and artwork, things that aren't expensive enough to capitalize. So they hit the expenses and therefore they come out of your profitability. So despite having a ton of spending on a lot of that stuff, our first few months as we've been ramping the store up from a customer experience standpoint, we still made money, which was a great sign. We're not, I don't want to give any impression that we're like making just boatloads of money and we're ready to go buy yachts. That is not the case. We got a lot more work to do there, but we are profitable. And we see the pathway over time to be able to become very profitable as our revenue continues to grow. So that's really exciting as well, that we're 4 months in, we're making money, we've got good revenue, but more importantly, we see the pathway for revenue to increase a lot more and hopefully profit to build alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, we're profitable because all the employees here. We have a great team. The shipping team is working nonstop. I mean, the shipping team has to take care of the online orders, sorting all the breaks, getting all those out, getting all the live selling cards out. Then our inventory manager, he's working his ass off too. He is putting in 10 hours a day, just getting us all caught up, getting all of our inventory into the system, getting it out into the showcases. They're doing stock takes. They're making sure that all the products is where it's supposed to be. The whole retail team is working very hard. They're all very talented. They're all taking training. Gina and Zach, they're great retail managers. Our buying team is tremendous. I mean, Mike is going to shows with me. Mike is working 7 days a week as well right now. The whole staff is on Team CardsHQ right now.
The staff is very, very committed, and I also want to give a special mention of you and Carter as well, because you guys have been working tremendously hard. You guys are extremely committed. You guys are pulling a salary from the business. I'm sure that's a question people have. Like when we say we're profitable, are the owners getting paid? Yes, you guys are getting paid, but with the amount of time you're working, you deserve more than what you're even getting paid right now, because you guys have been working tremendously hard, as you said, and it trickles down from you guys. People see that work ethic that you and Carter have, how much you're around the store, and just how much you care about all of it. And then that trickles down to all of our other managers, all of our other leaders, all of our other employees. I think the staff right now has this kind of startup mentality of like, we all want to make it. Like this is cool and we really want to make this something special. And that's so key. That is a special power that startup organizations sometimes have, not always have, because sometimes the staff just doesn't come together and the staff infights or they're not bought in or whatever. We don't have that problem, thankfully. But that's a superpower that we have. Back to my business consulting that I did with my agency 352, we would work with a lot of like larger corporations. Man, larger corporations, they never have that. Like they never, like the employees are there for their career path and they're there for their paycheck and they're there for their, 9 to 5 hours. And it's like big corporations, because there's just so much bureaucracy and there's so much red tape and there's so much just layers of politics and management, and all that stuff kills entrepreneurial startup spirit. It kills team spirit. All that stuff does. And that's just the nature of big companies. But sometimes with small companies, with startups, you get more of a kind of this exciting, we're in it together. We're a team. We're rallying together. We're working hard together. We're blood, sweat, and tears together. We want to make this thing really successful. And there's a lot of feeling, I think, of that right now across the staff. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it's a huge culture here. And I feel like we're a sports team or like a fraternity house or something. I mean, we're all enjoying this. We're all passionate about this.
Yep.
We all have the same goal of making this place great.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's talk about some of the areas of operations and how things have evolved over the last 4 months. Let's start with buying. You mentioned buying. We started off, it was mainly you doing the buying and Mike at the beginning. Now we have 6 buyers. Tell us how that has changed. And do you feel good about where we are, or do you feel like we need to continue to go from here?
I think we're in a good place right now. So we had Trey as a retail manager. He was actually one of our first hires brought on. And when we noticed the demand of people wanting to sell to us, we had to expand the buying. So we moved him from retail manager to a head buyer here at CardsHQ. We also had another retail associate, Sammy. We moved him to the buying team as well. Just with the demand, we have a line to sell to us every single day. And then with me traveling every weekend, we have to have someone back here that can buy.
Yeah.
So Sammy's doing a lot of that if Trey's traveling with me. And then TCG, Mike was buying a bunch of stuff, but he never had time to log it.
Right.
I mean, we have over $100,000 in our backlog of TCG that's just sitting in the back. And if it's in the back, it can't be sold. Luckily, Pokemon cards go up. Sports cards, if they were in the back, so that'd probably be an issue. But we had to bring Mike in some help too. So we got Isaiah and Leighton helping him out. They're very proficient. Isaiah knows One Piece really well. Leighton knows Pokemon really well. So our buying team went from me and Mike to now there's 6 of us.
Yeah.
And we're able to help customers. I mean, customers were having to wait an hour for me at the beginning. Now they don't have to wait as long.
Yeah.
Which helps.
Yeah. Buying's definitely gotten better. Now, we are still having to go do a bunch of card shows because what we have found is that to keep up with this, $1 million plus demand per month, we can't buy enough just in our store to keep up with the demand. So in order to keep up with demand, and especially as demand continues to grow, as we add more sales channels and the website ramps up and whatnot ramps up, we still are having to supplement by going to card shows. So you have been on the road a lot. And I know you're continuing to plan to be on the road a lot here going forward.
Yeah, we got Hobby Slam this weekend. I don't know if this episode will be out by then. But then we got Front Row Card Show Vegas. Then we're going to National. Yeah. The National will be a huge buying operation for us there.
Yeah. Yeah, the National. Let's talk about the National real quick before we get into other aspects of the operation. So the National, what are you expecting from the National? What's our game plan for the National? And just to set the stage, so Sports Card Investor will have a corporate booth at the National like we've done in previous years. We're going to do our Card Kids Trade Zone like we've done in previous years. So we're going to have Sports Card Investor, Market Movers, and our Card Kids Trade Zone all together in the corporate area. But the National will not allow the buying and selling of cards in the corporate area. So we could not put CardsHQ with Sports Card Investor in the corporate area. Instead, we had to get CardsHQ its own bank of dealer tables just outside of the corporate area. So we're fairly close to each other, but you guys are with the dealer tables. We're in the corporate area. What's going to be your approach to your setup there?
So it'll be Carter and I and Trey, and then we're going to take Chase to do full-time logging of all the cards. Basically, we're going to do the same method where we write on the sticky note what we're going to put it for in store and what our offer is. If people take it, we'll hand it back to Chase. He'll be logging it all. Getting it on the spreadsheet so it's ready to go for Jimmy when we get back. That way, those cards can be out the day we get back. I mean, we might even ship them back because I'm sure the store will get decimated while we're gone. Right. With taking all of our buyers. Right. But the plan is to be buying the whole time during the National. Okay. We do plan on bringing one showcase for maybe some higher end cards that maybe have sat a little bit longer. And I think we do plan on bringing some wax. There's some great releases in July that we plan on bringing.
So we'll sell some wax, we'll sell some cards, but higher end cards. But the main focus is going to be buying.
Main focus is buying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And just meeting everyone too.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, if you are going to be at the National in Cleveland, make sure to stop by the CardsHQ dealer tables, and if you have any cards to sell, we'd love to buy them from you. We'll pay good prices, and then of course come by the Sports Card Investor, Market Movers area as well in the corporate area nearby. That's going to be a lot of fun, and then of course Fanatics Fest. just a few weeks after that, and we may go to the Burbank show, which I think is like a week after that. So it's going to be a crazy August. And then I should also mention in September, the following month, we've got another Culture Collision show here in Atlanta. We're going to be doing a trade night during that. So that's a great time for anyone listening to come to Atlanta and check out CardsHQ during the Culture Collision show. And then there's a Collecticon, which is a giant, more TCG-oriented show, and that's I think the week after Culture Collision, also here in Atlanta. So it's going to be a nuts couple of weeks in September for the shop. So that's the National is going to hopefully help give us a lot of great inventory because we're going to need it with all that stuff happening in September.
Yeah, and we have Hobby Rip Night during Culture Collision too.
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be in a crazy month.
Topps Hobby Rip Night is going to be absolutely insane. Okay, so that's a little bit. We've touched a little bit on buying. Inventory has been one of the biggest, inventory processes and procedures has been one of the biggest changes since we opened. That was probably our biggest weakness, I would say, when we opened was inventory management and and just help in that area. And what we had was we ended up with this huge backlog of cards that weren't properly logged, that weren't priced, they were just sitting in all these cards we had bought, but they were just in safes and secure areas, and we couldn't get them out on the show floor because we didn't have the time to get through all of it. Now we have a way better system and actually an entire team that does inventory for us, and specifically the processing of new cards as they're coming in and getting them out into the showcases.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started, we were very slow in getting our cards out, which wasn't great. But Carter and I would get pulled into retail. The managers wouldn't know what to do for certain things. But now we're at a point where they're comfortable. I feel comfortable leaving them alone. They can handle everything. If not, we're a phone call away. But now with Jimmy coming in, I buy a card, I walk it to his office, and it could be out within 10 minutes. We bought a collection yesterday, which we spent $3,000 on. It's already in the showcases. It's already on the website. That's how quick we are now.
Yeah.
One of them, this is actually a funny story. He put he printed out the barcode, and it sold before he stuck it on the card yesterday.
So so I had been told by our shipping team, and I think that this is accurate, that there are, I guess, a number of people out there that have put bots like to track our website because we price all of our cards right at comps or right around comps, right? When we first tag them, we're looking at comps, or we're trying to price them in the neighborhood of comps so that they're fair prices. So people know that when we list a card, it's going to get listed at a fair price. So there are people out there, big buyers, repackers, other card shops who I don't even know who they are, but they've now they're monitoring. They got automated programs to monitor our website and alert them because how our system works is the second we add a card into our inventory system and price it, it feeds to our website, and then it will go live on our website. So it's like a very, kind of a quick feed over to the website. So that creates a scenario that we buy a card, we put it in inventory, we print the barcode out, and it's up on the website. And then someone apparently has an alert, gets an alert. CardsHQ's just added some new inventory to their website. They go check it out, and they're like, oh, that's a great deal on that card, and they buy it right away.
Puts a lot of pressure on Jimmy. He can't make any mistakes. Can't make any mistakes.
Seriously, yeah. If he puts a card up at the wrong price temporarily, we're gonna pay because that card's gonna sell instantly at that wrong price. And we're gonna build in. I mean, you see, there's a whole host of things we can do with our website to make it better as well and sell more. Like one thing we can do is allow customers to actually subscribe to get alerts when cards that they want to see are added to the website. So you don't have to have a bot to do it. You can actually, our website can actually proactively notify you if you're a collector of, Ronald Acuna Jr. and a new Acuna card hits the website. You get an email, you get a text notification, hey, this just hit the website. That's the kind of stuff that we're going to get built in, here in the upcoming months as we continue to improve our website and make that a bigger part of our sales mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really exciting to work with Shopify. All the features on there are great. The point of sale, the data we get out of it, it's been great.
Yeah, it does take some work to tune that all in. I mean, Shopify has all the data, but there's all these third-party apps which you can plug into Shopify, which make it better to get all the reporting out of it. But there's actually a lot of complexity to figuring it all out and figuring out the right systems for getting the right reporting and really understanding the data that Shopify has. I'd say that Shopify is a wonderful system, but I would also not say that it is super intuitive to get exactly what you want to get out of it off the bat. You have to install some apps. You have to do some tweaking. You have to do some fine tuning, and we're finally getting there.
It took some time.
It took some time, and it's not still not 100% how we want it, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
And we're learning more about it, and we're making it better every day. Okay, live selling and breaking. We've been doing a number of changes there to make things better. We've been learning. A significant one that customers can see is we just changed for our CardsHQ brakes channel. We just changed the whole physical setup of the braking cabana. We changed the camera angles, the whole thing, how it looks and operates, the graphics. We just launched a fresh, new graphics package, and camera angles and all that kind of stuff changed recently within the last week. That was all based upon just our experience of having people braking for a few months and seeing their experience as breakers, but then also seeing our customer feedback and how customers were interacting with our brakes.
I mean, we have one of the craziest cart shops, if not the craziest cart shop in the world, but our braking setup was not there.
Yeah.
And the power of your team, I mean, your production team is top of the line. I get that compliment every cart show I go to. They talk about you guys. And we just weren't there, but we're making some changes. We're getting some better graphics. We're going to be on par with the big players in the game.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it was our first time obviously ever setting up studios for braking. And so, again, we learned.
They did a great job.
And we adapted. Yeah.
We just adapted.
We adapted. We adapted to try to make the whole thing better. And so we made some big changes there. Operationally, we've been learning a lot about what's profitable to brake and what's not. I mean, one thing that we have definitely learned is that not every brake is profitable. And just because you're a braker doesn't mean you're making money. And we've had brakes where we have lost money. We've had nights where we've lost money, where we've opened up a bunch of product, but we've actually lost money.
A significant amount of money.
Yeah, a significant amount of money. So that has absolutely happened. Braking is its own nuanced, complicated business. There are things you learn, like the price points that are your sweet spots that work with your customers, the mix of boxes, what your customers are willing to buy into. Profitability is key. We have not been profitable with our braking operation at times. There's been other times when we've been very profitable with a braking operation. We've made mistakes. One mistake that I've seen us make that I even have broken a handful of nights, and I've seen this with some of my own brakes, is you start braking, let's say you put together a mix of we're going to break one case or we're going to break 4 hobby boxes. And the way we do our brakes is we random off it's an auction for every single spot, and they're all random teams, right? So people buy in. What happens is psychologically, people kind of price it out. They're like, okay, we're going to break 4 hobby boxes. People kind of price it out. Well, those hobby boxes are $200 each. So that's $800. There's 30 teams that we could possibly get in this break. So, what does that mean? Each spot's worth, what is that, $27 or something, if I'm doing my math right, in terms of what each spot should be worth in that break. So people kind of know that. So you get your bids kind of around that price. People are buying spots. Well, then you do a couple of breaks with 4 hobby boxes. Things are going pretty well. The prices are pretty good. So then you say, well, let's try to increase revenue a little bit. The next break's going to be 6 hobby boxes. But then if it's the same product, then sometimes what you find is that people are still bidding the same as with 4 hobby boxes. All of a sudden you try to sell 6 hobby boxes, but you get to the end of it and you only got the same revenue as you got on the previous break with 4 hobby boxes. Well, why is that? Well, because people were psychologically in the mindset of kind of bidding around a certain price point. Now you change the configuration of boxes a little bit, but people were still kind of bidding around the same price point. And so it's interesting. Things like that you learn, and you're like, well, crap, if we're going to go with a specific configuration, we kind of need to stay with that configuration throughout the night, because people are in the mindset of spending that amount of money. If we're going to change it up, we got to probably change products or change something altogether. But keeping consistency around the price point of what you're trying to do that night's pretty important. And you got to find that sweet spot. You got to find the spot of, this is what our customers that are in this stream right now are willing to bear in terms of the price point they're willing to pay to buy a brake spot. So then you got to configure your product so that you can be profitable, knowing that's what customers are willing to bear. You can really easily screw yourself with braking and lose a lot of money if you come out of the gate and you're trying to sell, case breaks when your audience that is in there isn't willing to pay more than $20 a spot, you can't be selling case breaks, because you're going to end up selling a case break and take an absolute bath where you're going to end up selling all the spots for half of what they're actually costing you. And so you got to find that sweet spot, and you kind of got to start small. Single box breaks, 2 box breaks, cheap spots, $10 spots, $20 spots. You got to start small, and then over time you can do more aggressive things. We've learned that the hard way. We've had nights where we've lost thousands of dollars because we've come out aggressive and here's cases, or we've gone from 1 case to 2 cases and then we got cooked on that, So that's an area where there's been a lot of learning. Also, just kind of the inventory management around breaking and all that kind of stuff was a real headache for us. But we're getting better at all of that. We're getting better at understanding our numbers, whatnot. Their system isn't always the easiest for understanding exactly how you're doing and what all your numbers are, but we're getting better at extracting that information and putting it all into a spreadsheet and tracking it and tracking our profitability on a per break basis. We weren't doing that at the beginning. We're doing that now. We're learning, we're adapting, we're growing, but that's a whole science in and of itself.
I mean, I think something too, when we first started, we had been buying a bunch of products, but they're older products. They're not fresh, and we didn't have the breaker allocation. So we were relying on our store allocation to break, and people want the new stuff, but we would run out like right away. So now we're getting more allocation for the newer products, and people want the new products. Like release nights, I mean, geez, we were selling Series 1 hobby boxes for $200.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a $80, $90 box.
Yeah. That's your dream as a breaker. But often it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And, one thing I will say, breaking is a tough business, especially if you don't have allocation from the manufacturer where you can actually get a decent markup on the boxes. It's an unbelievable, if you're having to buy boxes off of the secondary market and then try to profitably sell all the spots for those boxes, and by the way, have to pay the fees to the platform, like whatnot, plus your breaker, you got to pay their fees too. It is a expensive, difficult to profit operation unless you have the audience, build the following, and then really have the direct distributor allocation, and then are able to find your sweet spot in terms of what you're selling so that you can make that profit.
Yeah, that's why it's been so hard to sell Panini products.
Yeah.
We have to buy those on the secondary market, and the margins razor thin.
Yeah.
There's greatly some exciting products coming out July and August, football and basketball for Tops.
Yeah,
so
that'll be huge.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, that'll be really exciting. Yeah, so we've learned, like, there's some breaks, as you mentioned, we've done great on. Series 2 release day for us with Tops was an awesome day. We were super, super profitable, on top Series 2 breaks.
Bowman was good.
Yeah.
But we can't break Bowman at the same rate we were then now.
Right. Everything cools off quickly.
Yeah, it cools off quickly.
Everything cools off quickly. So you might be super profitable your first 3 or 4 days, or maybe your first week after a new product comes out, but that's short-lived. If you still got a bunch of that product week 2, week 3, week 4, you may end up upside down on a lot of breaks trying to move that product. Now, thankfully for us, we've also got the retail store. So, being able to get a bunch of product, if breaking slows down, we can pull some of it back out of breaking and put it out on the retail, put it out on the retail shelves. Although now with breaking allocation, you got to be more careful about that, right? Where originally we had the ability to be more flexible with product, but now that's one downside about getting into the manufacturers, breaking, those programs also come with a lot of rules, and those programs also come with, this product is for breaking, this product is for your hobby shop, don't intermix the two. So there's a lot of, it does make it in some ways more difficult, although the extra margin that you get on it is important to be able to make it profitable.
Well, luckily we don't have to touch our store allocation anymore.
Yeah.
So that's just dedicated to our local, community.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. That has certainly been helpful as well.
I hate when customers come in and we're sold out of a product.
Right.
It's, they came here to get that product, So
Yep.
now we have more allocation for them.
So breaking, those are some of the changes that have been going on. Live selling, I know one thing that we've changed there. We have a lot of people that show up in the live selling and ask for cards from a specific team. So we have now started to kind of sort all of our entire live selling inventory is now sorted by team. So if somebody shows up and says, hey, can you run some auctions for Bengals cards? We can pull our Bengals cards box, and we've got cards we can auction for the Bengals, for example.
We got to keep up with the Rockies. We have a Rockies buyer.
Yeah, I
buys
know.
us out.
I know, it's funny. Yeah, we got to get more Rockies cards. So that's been a lot of fun though. Shipping's been a big area where that team's grown a lot since we started.
Yeah, I mean, I took on a guy to help me, Davis, with just logging the cards that I'm buying. The shipping team already stole them. they needed them to sort all the breaks that we're doing, sort all those shipments, and with our website booming right now.
Yeah,
they had to steal them from me.
they've been busy with all the website orders, plus breaking. I mean, so then the other aspect of breaking, of course, is sorting, right? And so people don't realize operationally how time intensive a breaking operation can be. It's not obviously just about opening the cards. It's then about sorting and shipping. And with these top series 2 breaks we've been doing, while on one hand, they have been very profitable for us, and we've been making a really nice margin on all the hobby boxes of top series 2 that we've been breaking. On the other hand, we've been shipping all those cards. That's a ton of sorting.
I mean, there's 500 cards in the jumbo?
Yes. So we've literally got a team in the back that's just, I mean, 3 people back there.
You got to be precise
at all times.
Yeah.
And they're just going through all of the cards from every break, and they're sorting them by team. Oh, there's a Blue Jay. Oh, there's a Dodger. There's an Angel. There's a Brave. They're going piles, and pile of cards from one break, sorting. Then that gives them 30 packages now they got to ship. So they package all of it up, ship. That's one break. Now on to break number 2. Well, over the course of a night, we've done a ton of breaks, So the next day, they're just a whole team of people just sorting and shipping. A lot of expense in that. So once again, your breaking operation, you got to really be profitable on what you're able to get. You got to be able to get a really good price for each of these boxes, because you got to pay the platform fees. You got to pay your breaker. You got to pay your sorters. You got to pay your shippers. There's a lot of cost associated with breaking that people don't realize. It's actually a lot more expensive to break and deal with all that than it is to sell a box, to put it in one of our showcases and have it sell in the store. So breaking is not an easy operation, and it's not a profitable operation unless you really hone in your operations and efficiency. It's not easy to be a profitable breaker. We're learning how to do it. We're getting better at it, but that's an area that has been a lower profitability part of our operation, although it's an area we're continuing to improve, and we expect profitability to improve on that over time.
Yeah, it's getting better every single day.
Yeah.
And I think in 4 months we'll be talking how great it is.
I think so too. I think it's still going to be a very big part of our future. We still expect breaking and live selling revenue to exceed that of retail, and I expect it to do so very profitably, but we figured out it's a lot of work to get it very profitable.
It's very challenging.
It's very challenging, but we're working through it. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, Ryan. I know this is already kind of a long podcast. Anything else you think we should touch on today?
No, I'm excited to go to the shows the next few months and buy more cards and meet new collectors, and excited to buy here in store when I'm here, and
absolutely
excited for the next few months.
I'm super excited, man. The National, 30 days away, coming at us fast. That's going to be awesome. I hope a lot of you guys listening are going to be able to get out to the National in Cleveland this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please come say hi if you're going to be there. Fanatics Fest in New York City, 3 weeks after the National. We will both be at Fanatics Fest as well. Looking forward to that tremendously. And then all of the big events here at CardsHQ in September. Culture Collision in Atlanta in September. Topps Rip Night here at CardsHQ. Collecticon here in Atlanta in September. We're going to do a trade night at CardsHQ during that as well. So much fun to be had. And hopefully for everybody listening, we can have you guys out to CardsHQ soon if you haven't already had a chance to check it out. All right, this has been fun. Thank you, Ryan. And I want to remind all of you guys out there that the full-length episode of these Geoff Wilson shows are available on YouTube under the Geoff Wilson Show on YouTube. And they're also available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. So make sure to subscribe to our podcast as well so you can listen to these episodes on the go. We appreciate you, and we'll see you with the next one. Take care.